So we have our basic setup. I have a piece of paper here, drawing paper, and we're going to be doing 2-point perspective, and we're going to do it very much the same way that we've done with 1 point. So we're going to start by finding the approximate middle of the piece of paper, because these are notes. So approximately in the middle of the piece of paper, you want to draw your horizon line. Everybody I know knows what that is. So start in the middle of your paper, approximately, and draw your horizon line. That's the first thing you want to do, horizon line first. Then you're going to take and make 2 vanishing points, okay? So there are 2 of them. They're going to be at each end of the horizon line. So you're going to put 1 vanishing point over here and 1 vanishing point over here. Now, what we're doing is we're still going to be drawing buildings, but we're drawing this as if we are standing and looking at the corner of a building as opposed to looking at the front of a building, okay? All right, now depending on the size of the piece of your paper, you can make this center line pretty long. I'm working on kind of a small piece of paper, and so therefore I'm not going to draw this all the way to the top and bottom. I'm going to leave a little room, and that's what you want to do. So now you want to find about the middle of this horizon line, about the middle of it, and you want to draw a line that is going to go, I would say, use at least 2 inches above and 2 inches below. If you've got bigger paper, you can do more. So I'm going to see if I can do 3. I might be able to do 3. Not quite 3. So I'm working about 2.5 above and below. I think you might be able to do 3 depending on your page. But try not to do any less than 2. Okay. So now what I'm doing is I am going to go and draw my line, my center line. That is going to be the center of a building that I'm looking at, but basically it's as if the corner is coming towards you. Mark this top A, mark the bottom B. I'm going to turn this slightly towards me so I can put in my coordinates. Remember, we're talking about applied geometry again, and we're creating coordinates, all right? So now I have coordinates A and coordinates B. Now, because that's going to be
2 inches or 3 inches.
whatever works for you. If you can do 3, do 3. If there's enough room on your paper. I didn't have enough room on my paper to do it 3, so I did it at 2.5. But you could do 2 inches too, above and below will work for the notes. So that's going to be a corner of a building. I drew that line in pretty heavy because I'm not going to have to erase anything. These lines you want to draw lightly. So you're going to connect coordinate A to both vanishing points and coordinate B to both vanishing points, and you're going to have a diamond. But draw these lines lightly, okay? I'm going to have to draw them a little darker so you can see them on the video, but don't bear down real hard because it might be hard to erase a lot of stuff, okay? I hope people will see that line there. So I've connected A to both coordinates, okay? Connect A to both coordinates. And now I'm going to connect B to both coordinates. Make sure you're on your vanishing point and on the end of your line. That's important. Remember, if you leave the vanishing point when you're doing this, your perspective gets thrown off. We don't want the perspective thrown off. So this is my vanishing point. There's my coordinate B. And everybody's going to get to that stage. I'm going to hold this up a little bit. Hopefully you can see this a little bit. So there's where we are right now. Everybody should be at that stage. All right, I'm going to wait a couple of minutes to make sure everybody gets to that stage. All right, so once you get to this stage, you want to take your ruler, and remember, we're talking about parallel lines. What lines always remain, what lines are these called? What is that called? What kind of a line is that? Anybody remember what it's called? As such line, I mean, it's a center line of a building. Is it horizontal, vertical, parallel? Which is this one? Yep, vertical. Exactly. Thank you. Yeah, vertical lines. So now we're gonna put in 2 more vertical lines, okay? And what we are going to be doing is we're going to be taking, and I'm going to use my arrow here to show you, we're going to be putting one on this side, okay? And we're going to be putting one on this side. But what we have to ask ourselves is, how wide do we want our building to be, okay? So I'm going to slide my ruler. I'm going to make sure I'm parallel. You can see how my ruler is parallel to that line. I'm going to slide over until I decide how big I want my building to be. So I'm going to slide over to there, and I'm going to stop. Make sure your space is the same, okay, like that. If it looks like this, it's off, okay? So you don't want to do that. Remember, the edge of your ruler has to be parallel to your center line of your building. We are drawing a building. So I'm checking, I'm looking, it looks right. Now you're going to take your pencil and you're going to draw just inside the diamond shape. You're not going to draw over it. You're going to draw inside it. So you start on the bottom right there, and then you're drawing inside. This is the edge, other edge of the building. And I'm going to draw this line heavy because that line's definitely going to stay. Okay? So this is one side. I have to draw the other side over here. So now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put my ruler down. I'm going to slide over. I'm going to decide how wide I want my building to be. I might say, okay, I'm going to make that side longer. I could do that. Or I might say, I want the building to look kind of even. I'm going to go for more of the even look. Okay? So there it is. I'm checking. It looks even. It's parallel. And I draw my line inside. I'm going to pick the ruler up so you can see. So now what I've got is that's building number one. This is the corner of the building coming at you, okay? And that's what's going on. So now we've got these two lines in. We're going to give them a couple of coordinates too, all right? So we have A and B, okay? And what we're going to do is, since we've got A, B in the center here, we're going to put C over here and D over here, okay? So now we've got AB as the center, CD is over here, and then these ones are going to become E and F. So there's E and there's F. Now we're going to use those coordinates when we draw, because it's important to know which line is which when you work over here. It can get a little bit confusing, so we want to make sure it's right. So this is now between, you want to now take your pencil and draw a darker line between A and C and A and E and F and B and D. So in other words, the bottom of the building and the top of the building, draw heavier right now. If it's not quite dark, draw a little heavier. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to make sure that I can really see that line. I'm coming in with my pencil and I'm making it heavy because I want that. That's the top of my building. And I want to make sure that's heavy. You can see how I've made that heavier. It's darker. Same thing's going to happen down here for the bottom of my building. I'm going to bring this towards me a little bit so I can see. And I want that line to be heavy. So I'm going to come in with my pencil. And I'm making that line heavy. And I'm going to make this line heavy. And I'm trying to stay inside my coordinates. Okay. Now, this is our horizon line, right? But now I've drawn a building in front of my horizon. So what I want to do is I'm going to take an eraser and I'm going to erase just the horizon line. I'm not going to erase my EF, AB, CD lines, or where those are connected in top and bottom. Not doing that. I'm only erasing the horizon. And why I'm erasing the horizon is because now the building is in front of the horizon. So you can see, I'm going to hold this up, where I erased the horizon line. Okay, and I'm going to erase the horizon line also over here. Okay. So I'm going to erase that horizon line. All right. So now there's building number one. And as you can see, the corner is coming towards you. Now we have to make a decision about putting a building on this side and a building on this side. Okay. First thing you want to ask yourself, we're going to start with the AB line first, is put your ruler and you can decide how far over the corner of the next building is going to come. So I decided, I'm looking and I'm sliding my ruler. I'm keeping it parallel. I'm going to put the corner of my next building right there. So now you're going to draw an AB line. So you are going to make sure it's parallel. Remember, these vertical lines are staying parallel. Okay, and I'm going to draw a line right there, and I'm going to label it AB. So I'm going to turn this so I can label it. There's an A line, there's a B line. Okay, AB. Now, here's where it gets interesting. This side of the building is actually, part of it is going to be hidden behind here. Okay, so you're not going to see it. So what we want to do is this. You notice how this line here, right, from the B is going back to the vanishing point. Okay, so if I put my ruler on it, you can see it's coming back to the vanishing point, right? Okay, take your ruler, put it on the B coordinate like that, and then put it on the vanishing point. Slide up to the vanishing point, right? So I've got it on the B and I've got it on the vanishing point. I'm going to come a little bit over so I don't get as much of a reflection. So I've got it on B. If I can take my pencil and I can put my pencil on B, right? And I can put my pencil on the vanishing point with the ruler not moved, it's correct. So you're going to take from B and I'm going to get you to draw over just till you touch this line. Okay, so don't overdraw, just start at B and draw over till you touch. And you'll get that. Okay, let me hold this up. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to label these sides like right and left just to make it easy. So this is going to be the right side of the building. This is going to be the left side of the building. Okay, so we've got right and we've got left. Okay, so if we're looking at here, and this is the AB line, the center, is this a right side or a left side? What do you think based on that? Is this right side or left side? Somebody can put it in the chat box if you want. Yep, correct, right side. So I'm going to put, so I know what's going on, I'm going to put an R there. Okay, now we need one more line at the top, correct? So now we're going to take that A line, and A coordinate, and we're going to hook it up to the vanishing point, and we're going to draw over. Okay, so that's now done. This is now a side overlapping. Now over here, it's already attached to the vanishing point. All we have to do is decide how big we want the building to be. The same way we slid down, we slide down here. Slide over. I decide I'm going to keep my building about that big. Make sure that it looks even. Come up, inside, draw that line inside. Okay, see what's happening? And now I'm going to take my eraser. I've got my building drawn. I want to get rid of my horizon line inside my building. So I'm going to erase inside the building. Another reason why I ask people not to do the notes in pen, because we can erase things. Okay, I have to strengthen this line a little bit here. Now we've got AB, and our CD is hidden. It's back here. So that means this is an EF, right? This is E and this is F. So we're going to do the same thing again. There's E and there's an F. Okay, I'm going to strengthen between F and B, just like I did here, and between E and A, just like I did here. I already made the lines going from B back behind the building and A back behind the building pretty strong, so I don't have to go over those again. But if I did them very light, I'd want to strengthen those too. Strengthened. And I'm going to get in there and I'm going to strengthen it. Okay. So now we've got that. And if you look, you can see right here, this is the space going between the buildings. So right here, this guideline, you don't need anymore, and you don't need this guideline anymore. You need the building lines, but you don't need this line, and you don't need that line. So now I'm going to take my eraser. Now that my building is secure, I erase up in here the guideline because I don't need it. That was just to help me draw the side of the building. So I've erased that top guideline. And you can see how now it looks like there's space going back. This line, if I was going to do a road and my buildings are right on the road, I would want to keep that line. So for now, I'm not going to erase that one. I'm going to keep it. But if you weren't going to have a road there, you would probably erase that too, just to show the space. All right, now we're going to switch sides. So what's the first line that I need to draw over here? If I'm going to do the same kind of thing like this, but I'm going to do it over here, which of the lines do I draw in first, coordinate-wise? Which ones? You can type it in the chat box if you want to and let me know. Or you can open up your mic if you want to say it. Which line? I've got lines A, B, E, F, and C, D. Which is the first one I should draw over here? A, B. Got it. Exactly. And AB is going to be parallel. So therefore, I'm looking here, making sure things are parallel. So I'm going to put my AB line right here. So you do the same thing. Get it parallel. Put in an AB line. I'm going to mark it. Turn it and mark it. So I know AB. And I sometimes find when I'm setting up a drawing like this, I will actually use all these coordinates because, again, it's geometry we're working with. And it just helps me remember where I'm putting things, okay? So AB is drawn in. Now, we want to take, and we're going to connect A here and B here. Does it go to this vanishing point right now if we're trying to do a left side? Because remember, here is the left side, right? Here is going to be the right side. So this left side goes where from A? Which vanishing point? Does it go over to this vanishing point? How many people say yes or no? To this vanishing point, is that correct? We're going to make a left side? Yes, correct. Exactly. So now take A, hook it up to that vanishing point. Remember, you are drawing just until you touch this line, okay? Just until you touch that line. Sorry about that. I had to let somebody in. So now I am going to go here, and I'm going to connect. Draw over. And I got to do the same thing for B. B is going to come to here. So the left side of the buildings are always vanishing over to here. The right sides of the buildings are always vanishing here. The center is the center. It's always in the middle. So now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm taking B over to here. Okay. And now I have to decide how far back I want my building to go. I'm going to make this into a pretty big building. I'm going to take it and I'm leaving a big space. So, but I'm making sure it's straight. Remember, this edge has to be parallel to the center line. So if I did this, it's going to throw my perspective way off if my ruler is crooked. So I'm lining it up visually like that, and then I'm sliding over until I get to the point where I like the way it looks. And when I'm comfortable, I will stop. I think I want it to be that big. So now I'm staying inside my guidelines. Okay, so I'm inside the guidelines. My building has ended. I'm going to take out the horizon line because I don't need it anymore because my building is overlapping it. Anytime a building overlaps the horizon line, you can erase it. Okay, but I still need my horizon line back here because I don't have any buildings there, so I would see it. And I'm going to strengthen my lines here. So now I've got new coordinates, right? This is C, this is D, right? C and D. So now I'm going to strengthen between A and C and B and D. And then I am going to just double check, and I will then ask you for to show me your work. And I'm going to strengthen it. Okay, so there's the basics of getting 2-point perspective. No details yet in the buildings, right? They're just showing how it works. So let me review quickly and just go over what we did, okay? Because I have to be a good steward of our time. First thing we did, just as a review, we drew our horizon line in, okay? So I'm going to use my arrow. We drew the horizon line in right there. We then did vanishing point here, and we did a vanishing point over here. Then we did this line here, the top line, which is the AB line. We put the AB line in, and then we connected B to the vanishing point on both sides, okay? And we connected A to the vanishing point on both sides. Then we went to work and drew in, decided how big we wanted the building to be. We made sure that we drew our CD line in, had to be parallel here to each other, and stay inside the diamond shape. And then we drew that in. Then we did the same thing over here. We took the EF line and drew it inside the diamond shape, and then strengthened all the lines and erased the horizon line that was in here. We got rid of it. And that's the way you get that building in place. And then we did the same exact thing over here. Started with the AB line. We connected A and B to the vanishing point on this side for the right side of the building, just till it touched. That shows it that the buildings are behind each other. And then we drew in an EF line, and we made sure that we strengthened the lines here and then repeated it over here. So that's the basics. So tomorrow, what we're going to end up doing is we're going to end up adding detail to this, is what we're going to do. We'll add detail to it. And details work the same way as we did before. The details go to the vanishing point. Things on the left side go to the left. Things on the right side go to the right. Things that are above the horizon line will tip down towards the horizon line. Things that are below the horizon line will tip up. And I'll also show you how to do a building below the horizon line as well. Okay, thank you. And what we're going to do now is I will stop my recording.